All right, what's going on YouTube? So today I got for you a Uno the Activist type beat. Uh, so to start off with these beats, you want to make a background melody, something that's kind of faint that you can't really hear, but you just kind of barely hear it, but it's kind of pushed off in the background. So usually I use something like a pad or maybe an arp or even something like keys or something like that, and I just kind of add different effects to it to make it sound different. But this is what I got so far. So this is like a background noise you'd want to start off with. All right, and so once you got that background melody kind of made, make sure it's you make sure it's kind of faint, like I said, and kind of pushed off in the background. You can use different effects to kind of achieve that as well. So the next one you'd want to go, well, the next sound that I have is a melody. So this is I usually have my background noise and my melody going at the exact same time, like throughout the whole entire beat. So that's kind of like what keeps the beat sounding, cohesive. Like it all sounds consistent, and then I add different elements in there later. So I'll show you. So this is what I got right here. All right. Well, actually, let me add one thing to this. So with your melodies, usually what I do with these types of melodies, I kind of keep them simple but very I make them stand out to like I make it something that's different and very unique, but I try to make it simple. So like you can if you keep beats really simple but make them sound more complex than they actually are, it kind of tricks you into thinking it's like more complex than it is actually. So that's why you want to keep things. There's this phrase that I've heard before. It's called "KISS." Keep it simple, stupid. That's something you should kind of live by. Like just keep life simple and keep your melodies and your beats simple. Like you can kind of go crazy with them and start adding effects and do things like that. But if you notice that when you listen to songs on the radio, if that's the route that you kind of want to, go down, if you want to go to the mainstream and kind of go down that route, you notice like the beats are really simple. So it's something that's got to be really catchy. So usually, if you wanted a song to be a hit, it has to be very catchy at the same time. So you have to be able to like easily bob to it, easily listen to it, like everybody has to be able to just grasp that sound and that song very easily for it to be popular, because if it's easy, most people will actually collectively like it because it's something simple. It's like a cookie cutter type like sound, if you will. So like keep your melodies not simple, because sometimes when you add too much to them, it makes it over complex, and then that's what throws the beat off. That's just a that's just kind of my opinion on that. But the next sound that I have is an ARP. So usually, like I say, when I use ARPs, I use those to kind of fill in the gaps and fill in the spaces of where I don't have anything going on in my melodies or anything like that. So this is a ARP, my first ARP that I have. All right. So usually when I make these types of beats, I usually always use something that's kind of like a sparkly, twinkly, like I don't know, I don't know, like just something that's like got bells or like some type of flutes or whistles, something that sounds kind of weird and just kind of different. That's kind of what sets those beats off, because I feel like that element is what makes them popular, as far as how they rap. Like why people like this sound is because their style is a little bit weird and kind of different and just something odd. And so the combination of that odd, weird, different sound and the beats that I make in these types of beats and their type of rap style, I think it meshes really well, and I think that's why it's really popular. So you want to kind of, even if you're not in this type of style of beats, you could be making rock music. You want to keep everything that I'm saying uh, in mind when you're thinking about collabing with people or adding different elements into your music or your creative craft or whatever you're doing, just because you can learn from any and everything. So that's why I'm saying, as far as like the actual sounds that I typically use, it's usually like some type of weird kind of like sparkly sound like this, something that's just off the wall, kind of different, because I feel like it fits their sound, and that's why it's probably that's the best way to get that type of sound, is to add those types of sounds like that. So the next one I have is another art, and usually if you kind of notice, I use all my melodies, I kind of piggyback off of each other. So like my melodies kind of seem to kind of look the same or look kind of similar like that. Like I usually, that's how you keep your sounding key to make sure that everything sounds good. So here's the second ARP that I have right here. This is another example of like those weird type of off the wall sounds. And like I say, like if you notice, I have different areas where I'm just like missing gaps and things like that, where I kind of let the beat float. That's what I call it, just kind of let the beat float, or the melody float in this case. That's, I like to add that those little elements because it just makes it sound a little bit different. Because if you notice, all the songs on the radio and the things that you hear is very repetitive. It's very like 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. Very almost kind of like robotic, kind of like it's just like pushed out there really quickly. I think that's why these beats, or beats like this, are more unique, because it's more to it. Like each one sounds a little different. Although I do like that sound and those types of styles and that type of beat, I feel like it's still repetitive to a degree. It's like, so you can always think of different artists that you hear, and you're like, well, this sounds like this type of artist song, album after album after album. I think that goes the same way with producers. Sometimes that's kind of the reason why those sounds and those albums sound the same, because the producers haven't changed. So that's just my 2 cents on that. So now we're going to move forward to the instruments. So we got the hi-hats. So this one I did a little bit different. If you obviously, and if you want to see what, like, how I did all of this and like from start to finish and everything, hit the Patreon, because if you check out the Patreon, I'll show you start to finish. I hit record and I just go in and start making it beat. You get to see a lot more. You get to learn a lot more, and just you can get to interact with me more, as far as if you use the Patreon, because there's different tiers. You get different perks for the tiers. So this is the hi-hat that I got going on right now. Uh, and this is kind of what I did. And like I said, like, keep things kind of simple. Like, it's not a very elaborate hi-hat, but I just did something different to make it sound like it's different. So like if you hear all the elements together, it's going to sound different. So let's go see. Just a normal clap. Nothing crazy. The next one is the snare. This one here is another snare. Yeah, the same sound, I'll throw that in there, my little signature sound. Then you got the 808s. Before I finish the 808, what you want to do with these 808s and these 808 patterns is you gotta have, like, they gotta kind of change. They gotta be kind of different, because again, their style is very different, very melodic, and like kind of off the wall. It's very weird, right? So your 808s, that still keep them on time, because sometimes when you start trying to get creative, you start putting your 808s out of time. Don't do make sure you start paying attention and listening to make sure that your beat's still on time. But you want to get creative with the 808s. So like usually, like, I've noticed with them, they like kind of slow kind of beats where they can kind of like really rap, but it still has a kind of fast pace to it. So the way that I did that, actually, I'll go back to the hi-hat to talk a little bit more about that, because that's another reason. So if you notice, I have 2 layers to the hi-hat. So this hi-hat is actually going all the way through, right? I added that because normally I add a hi-hat. I added this type of beat without that layer on the bottom, right? So because I added that layer on the bottom, the reason I added that layer on the bottom was simply because it sounded like a slow type beat that he would rap on, like a Uno or Fonny or them type, that type of sound. But I feel like I was using that same hi hat all the way through, and it sounded a little bit too slow. There was times where they like to pick up the pace and rap a little bit faster, and so I couldn't achieve that with that type of hi hat. So I didn't want to change it. So I just added that, you know, in the bottom, like as a second layer, just so it kind of sounds different. That's why I added that. So that's actually a reason as to why when I went and added the 808s, I was able to add the 808s to make it sound different and still have a slow kind of vibe, but still a fast pace by doing that. So that's an extra gem. So something like I just explained to you, that's something that you would actually learn on the Patreon. But you know, I throw you guys a gem every now and then. So here's the 808 pattern and everything. So let's get this one going. So, like I said, just with your 808 patterns, just kind of give them a little bit of air, a little bit of space. Let the let the beat float for a little bit. Like I say, um, if you kind of add all these elements together, like I'm explaining to you, but you know, give it your own sauce, your own melodies, your own style. But you take the elements that I just explained to you, and you add it to it, and you give these like make these types of beats, and you give it to these types of artists, you'll start to get the placements and you'll start to get what you're looking for. Like if you just take the elements of what I'm giving to you and just kind of put it all together and just add it to your repertoire and just kind of learn from it, you'll be able to definitely improve. And just like you're improving off of me, I can improve off of you. So leave some definitely feedback and everything, and let me know what you guys think about my content. So the next thing we're gonna go and move to now is we're gonna go ahead and check it out and listen to the beat, right? All right. So again, let's flip it to song mode. All right, so that's it. So this is how I made this Uno the Activist type beat. So it's called Unosphere. So if you know if you're interested in it, hit me up. Let me know if you want to collab. Let me if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything, like drop comments in the comment section. Leave a like, give a thumbs up. If you dislike it, dislike it. It just interact with the video, so it helps me in my algorithms and everything like that. So let me know what you guys think about the video. Let me know if you want me to do any other videos or any other styles type or like this as well. If you have any questions, anything that you guys need, just let me know in the comment section, and just keep on interacting, man. I appreciate it. Check out the Patreon if you want to go ahead and see how I made this beat from start to finish and some other tips and tricks. and different things. I interact more on there as well. You get some other perks as well. So follow me on all my social media and on my Instagram. Everything's Milan Makes Beats. So check me out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope it continues, man. Thanks a lot, guys.